I get this question all the time. Doc, I've cut calories, I'm eating less, I'm even fasting, so why am I not losing fat? And I can see the frustration in their faces. They've done everything the diet book said. Smaller portions, longer fasts, more willpower. Yet the scale barely moves. The real issue isn't discipline or effort. It's that their insulin never got the message to step aside. When insulin is elevated, your body gets locked out of its own fat stores. It's like you've hidden all your energy behind a door that won't open, and you keep pounding on it, exhausted, wondering why you're still hungry. You can be fasting for 18 hours a day and still never reach your fat stores if insulin is standing guard. That's the secret nobody wants to talk about. Calories don't rule your metabolism. Hormones do. And insulin is the loudest of them all. If it's high, fat burning shuts off completely. Your body turns into a sugar burner instead of a fat burner. And no matter how long you starve, it just slows your metabolism, waiting for the next spike. But when insulin finally drops, everything changes. The cravings calm down. The brain fog lifts. Energy feels steady again. That's when the magic happens. Your body finally starts unlocking those stored fat cells, not just for a few days, but for life. Today, I'm going to show you the Theta-1 insulin trick that flips that metabolic switch. Once you understand how to quiet insulin and time your fasts correctly, weight loss stops being a guessing game. It becomes consistent, predictable, and sustainable. Exactly the way your body was designed to work. Most people have been told the same story since childhood. That weight loss is a simple math equation: eat fewer calories, move more, and the fat will melt away. It sounds logical. It even looks neat on paper, but inside the human body, it simply doesn't work that way. You can't outsmart your hormones with willpower or math. And the most stubborn of those hormones is insulin. Here's what really happens. Let's imagine your body as a hybrid car with two fuel tanks. One tank stores quick energy, sugar or glucose, and the other holds long-term energy, fat. When insulin is high, it locks the fat tank shut. You can have a full tank of fat energy, but your body can't reach it. So even if you're running on empty from eating less, your body is trapped burning sugar. You start feeling tired, irritable, and hungry because your fuel access is broken. This is why people who eat less but still have high insulin don't lose fat. Their body can't tap into stored energy. It's like trying to drive across the country with a locked gas tank. It doesn't matter how good your car is, you'll stall out on the side of the road. Now, picture someone with low insulin. Their fuel tank is open. When their body runs low on food, it naturally switches to fat burning. Hunger fades because they have access to abundant energy, the very fat they've been carrying around. They can fast longer without misery, and their metabolism speeds up instead of crashing. The difference between those two people isn't calories. It's hormones, especially insulin. When you eat carbs, especially refined ones, bread, cereal, pasta, sugary drinks, your blood sugar rises. Your pancreas releases insulin to push that sugar into your cells for energy. That's normal. Insulin is not the enemy, it's essential. But when your meals are filled with frequent snacks, processed foods, or hidden sugars, insulin stays elevated almost all day. Your body never gets a break. It becomes like a light switch stuck in the on position, constantly storing energy, never releasing it. Cutting calories on top of that only makes things worse. Your body senses restriction, and to survive, it slows your metabolism. Your thyroid output drops, your energy tanks, and your cravings spike. It's a biological protection mechanism. The body doesn't know you're trying to look better in jeans. It thinks you're starving during a famine. So it clings to every bit of fat it can, while insulin keeps the fat locked away. That's why so many people feel trapped. They eat less, yet somehow feel hungrier, weaker, and still stuck at the same weight. It's not their fault, it's their physiology. Think about it this way. If you're trying to lose weight with high insulin, you're playing a rigged game. You're telling your body, burn fat, while your hormones are saying, store fat. No amount of calorie counting can override that signal. But when you lower insulin, when you finally calm that hormonal noise, everything flips. Your body can finally reach into its fat stores. Energy becomes steady. Hunger fades naturally. That's why people on ketogenic diets or properly timed fasting often report feeling full on fewer calories, because their fuel tank is finally open. They're not relying on food to feel energized. They're burning what they already have. There's also a mental shift that happens. When insulin drops, your brain stops demanding constant snacks. You don't white knuckle your way through hunger anymore. It just quiets. The body and brain start working together instead of against each other. That's the hidden truth behind why calorie counting fails for so many. It treats the symptom, too many calories, instead of the cause, hormonal imbalance. You can't solve an insulin problem with a calculator. You solve it by understanding when your body is burning sugar and when it's burning fat, and by giving it the space and nutrients to make that switch. So the next time someone tells you that you're not losing weight because you're eating too much, remember this. The issue isn't that you've been overeating. It's that your insulin has been overstaying its welcome. Until it steps aside, your fat stores remain locked, and no amount of deprivation can open that door. Insulin's real job is simple yet powerful. It's the body's storage manager. Every time you eat, insulin steps in to decide what to do with that incoming energy. It tells your cells, store this now, we'll use it later. It's a brilliant system when food is scarce, but in a world where food is everywhere, snacks, drinks, hidden sugars, that system backfires. Insulin ends up working nonstop, keeping your body in storage mode all the time. Here's the truth most people never hear. Insulin doesn't just help move sugar into your cells. It also tells your body to stop burning fat. When insulin rises, fat burning shuts off completely. That's its design, because your body prefers to burn the incoming fuel first before dipping into reserves. Imagine your metabolism as a house with two furnaces. One burns glucose, the sugar you eat, and one burns fat, your stored energy. When insulin is high, the sugar furnace is roaring and the fat furnace is turned off. It doesn't matter if you're in a calorie deficit. That fat furnace can't light while insulin is around. Even small, frequent insulin spikes can keep that fat burning switch turned off. You don't need to be eating huge meals to trigger it. A handful of chips, a sugary coffee, a healthy granola bar, each one whispers to your pancreas, send out more insulin. The problem is that insulin doesn't just show up for a few minutes and leave. It hangs around for hours. So if you graze or snack throughout the day, you're constantly signaling your body to store instead of burn. Picture your fat cells as little energy vaults. When insulin is high, those vaults are locked tight. They're full of energy, but you can't access it. That's why people with insulin resistance feel fatigue even though they carry plenty of stored fuel. Their body has energy everywhere, yet none of it is available. The moment insulin drops, though, it's like a key turning in the lock. Those vaults open up and the stored fat begins to flow out as fuel. You literally start running on your own reserves. That's the real definition of fat burning. When insulin stays low for long enough, your body gets better at this process. The fat burning furnace becomes efficient. You can go longer between meals without feeling starved. Cravings disappear because your body trusts it can tap into its backup energy. Your brain, which runs beautifully on ketones, a byproduct of fat burning, starts to feel clearer, calmer, and more focused. Now, think about what happens when insulin is always high, like most modern diets cause it to be. You eat breakfast with carbs, your insulin rises. A few hours later, a snack. Insulin bumps up again. Lunch, another rise. An afternoon pick-me-up or coffee with sugar. Another hit, dinner, dessert, a late night snack. And by the time you sleep, insulin hasn't had a break all day. It's like a worker who never clocks out. Over time, your cells become numb to it, a condition we call insulin resistance. The pancreas then produces even more insulin to get the same job done. The cycle deepens, and fat burning gets completely shut down. This is why insulin is often called the storage hormone. It doesn't just decide what happens after a meal. It dictates whether you're in storage mode or release mode. And those two states cannot exist at the same time. You're either storing or burning. Never both. That's the key. To lower insulin, your body needs breaks, true fasting windows where insulin can drop and fat can finally be used for energy. That's why people who eat less often or focus on low insulin foods, like healthy fats, proteins, and fiber-rich veggies, see such different results. They're not just cutting calories, they're changing their hormonal environment. Think of insulin like a traffic signal for your metabolism. Green light means fat burning. Red light means fat storage. If insulin stays red all day, you can't move forward no matter how clean your diet looks. But the moment you give your body space between meals or cut out the hidden sugars that keep insulin spiking, that light turns green again. Fat starts moving out of storage and your energy stabilizes. This is why mastering insulin control isn't about perfection, it's about rhythm. Let insulin rise when you eat, then give it enough time to fall. Let your metabolism breathe. Because when insulin drops, your body doesn't just lose fat. It finally remembers how to use the energy it's been holding on to for years. Most people trying to lose weight don't realize that it's not just big meals or sugary desserts keeping their insulin high, it's the small, everyday habits that seem harmless. These are the things that quietly whisper to your pancreas all day long, keep releasing insulin. And when insulin never gets a break, fat loss stalls completely, no matter how disciplined you are. Let's start with one of the biggest offenders, snacking. The fitness industry has told people for decades that eating every few hours keeps your metabolism up, but that advice couldn't be more backward. Every bite of food, even a small one, triggers an insulin response. It doesn't matter if it's a handful of almonds, a protein bar, or a few crackers. The moment your taste buds sense food, your body prepares for incoming fuel by raising insulin. If you eat 6 or 7 times a day, insulin never drops low enough for fat burning to begin. You stay in storage mode around the clock. Then there's the flavored coffee trap. That harmless. Morning lat with a splash of creamer or a few pumps of syrup might seem innocent, but your body doesn't see it that way. Even small amounts of sugar or artificial sweeteners that taste sweet can nudge insulin higher. So instead of starting your day in a fat burning state, you unknowingly kick your metabolism back into storage mode before breakfast is even over. By mid-morning, you're craving carbs again, thinking you just need energy, when really it's your insulin roller coaster making you hungry. Another hidden culprit is so-called healthy processed foods. Labels like fat, gluten-free, or whole grain give a false sense of security. Many of these products are loaded with hidden sugars, starches, and ingredients that spike insulin just as much as candy. The low-fat craze of the past decades taught people to fear fat and load up on carbs instead. Cereals, granola bars, fruit yogurts, smoothies. They look clean, but metabolically, they're constant insulin triggers. Your body doesn't care that the sugar came from honey or fruit puree. It still raises insulin and halts fat burning. And then there's grazing, the modern eating pattern that almost everyone falls into without realizing it. A sip of soda here, a few bites while cooking, a taste test while preparing lunch, a couple of grapes, or a protein shake just in case. Each of those moments restarts the insulin clock. For most people, insulin never gets a true break from morning until bedtime. That's why even with intermittent fasting, some people see no results because their fast includes flavored water, gum, or coffee creamers that keep insulin active. But food isn't the only trigger. Stress can raise insulin too, even without eating. When you're stressed, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Cortisol tells your liver to release glucose for quick energy, which then forces your pancreas to release insulin to manage that sugar. Chronic stress from lack of sleep, emotional tension, or constant multitasking keeps that cycle going. You can be eating perfectly but still stuck in storage mode because your stress hormones won't let insulin calm down. This is why willpower alone doesn't work. People think they're failing because they cheated on their diet or didn't exercise enough, but the truth is far deeper. If your insulin stays elevated, even slightly, your body cannot burn fat efficiently. You can have the cleanest diet in the world, but if you snack, sip, or stress your way through the day, you're sending the same message to your metabolism store, don't burn. When insulin never gets a break, the body becomes resistant to it, meaning it needs to release more and more insulin to handle the same amount of food. This leads to cravings, fatigue, and eventually that frustrating weight loss plateau that feels impossible to break. You're not broken. You're just biochemically stuck in storage mode. The good news is that the fix doesn't require starving yourself. It just means breaking those tiny, hidden habits that keep insulin working overtime. Start by cutting out snacks between meals. Let your body finish digesting before feeding it again. Keep your coffee clean, black or with a small amount of healthy fat, but no sugar or sweeteners. Replace healthy, processed foods with real, single-ingredient foods that don't spike insulin. And find small ways to calm stress, better sleep, deep breathing, Even a short walk can lower cortisol and help insulin finally rest. The difference can be dramatic. When insulin finally gets those breaks, your body unlocks access to stored energy again. Hunger fades, fat loss resumes, and energy steadies. It's not about eating less, it's about giving your hormones space to reset. Once insulin quiets down, your body does exactly what it was designed to do: burn fat naturally, efficiently, and without constant struggle. Most people focus on what they eat, but far fewer pay attention to when they eat. The truth is, timing can be even more powerful than food choices when it comes to lowering insulin and unlocking fat burning. Your metabolism isn't just a calorie calculator. It runs on rhythms. Every bite you take sends hormonal signals, and insulin is the loudest voice in that conversation. When meals are spaced correctly, insulin has time to drop, and fat burning naturally switches on. When meals are constant or late at night, insulin stays elevated, and fat burning shuts down completely. Imagine two people trying to lose weight. One eats 5 small meals a day because they've been told it keeps the metabolism running. The other eats 2 balanced meals, lunch and dinner, within an 8-hour window. On paper, they might both eat the same number of calories, but their results will be night and day. The person grazing all day keeps insulin spiking with every snack and bite. Even if it's healthy, insulin never has a chance to fall. Their body stays in storage mode around the clock, never reaching the low insulin state needed to burn fat. Now look at the person eating in a shorter window. They go for long stretches without food, maybe from dinner until the next day's lunch. During that fasting window, insulin drops steadily. The body finally gets a green light to tap into stored fat for energy. By the time they break their fast, their metabolism is flexible and ready to use both fat and food efficiently. They feel more alert, hunger is easier to manage, and they're burning fat in between meals instead of storing it. This is why food timing can transform your results even without changing what you eat. When insulin has hours to quiet down, it creates a rhythm: peaks when you eat, valleys when you rest. Those valleys are where the magic happens. Fat cells release stored energy, ketones rise, and inflammation drops. Your body becomes metabolically flexible, switching smoothly between burning glucose and fat depending on what's available. One of the most powerful timing strategies is shortening your eating window, often called time-restricted eating. Instead of eating from morning to night, you might eat all your meals within 8 hours, leaving 16 hours for your body to rest and repair. During those fasting hours, insulin levels stay low, allowing your body to access fat stores for fuel. Even if your total calories are the same, the hormonal response is completely different. Lower insulin means steady energy, fewer cravings, and a metabolism that finally works for you instead of against you. Late night eating is another major insulin disruptor. After sunset, your body naturally prepares for rest, not digestion. Insulin sensitivity decreases in the evening, meaning your body doesn't handle food as efficiently. That late night snack or dessert spikes insulin at the exact time your metabolism wants to wind down. The result: higher overnight insulin, poor fat burning, restless sleep, and more cravings the next day. When you finish your last meal earlier in the evening, insulin drops overnight, and your body enters a deep fat burning state while you sleep. That's when real metabolic repair happens. Think of insulin like a tide. When it's high, fat storage is active. When it goes out, fat burning begins. Grazing keeps the tide high all day. Fasting and meal spacing let it recede. The longer it stays low, the more fat your body can release. Real life transformations often happen when people stop eating so often, not when they eat less. Someone who used to snack 6 times a day switches to 2 satisfying meals, and suddenly the scale moves. They haven't starved themselves. They've just given insulin room to breathe. Their energy improves, their mood stabilizes, and their hunger signals normalize because their body isn't trapped in a constant feeding state. This doesn't mean everyone has to skip breakfast or fast aggressively. The key is finding a pattern that creates enough space between meals for insulin to drop. For some, that's 12 hours between dinner and breakfast. For others, it might be 1 or 2 days a week of longer fasting. The goal isn't punishment, it's rhythm. When you give insulin time to fall, your body gets back to doing what it's built for: healing, burning fat, and balancing energy. It's not about how much food you eat, but how often you allow insulin to rest. The fewer times you call on it, the better it works when you need it. So instead of obsessing over calories, start thinking about timing. Stop eating 3 hours before bed. Combine meals instead of snacking. Create a consistent fasting window. The simplicity of that rhythm teaches your body to burn fat even while you sleep, effortlessly, naturally, and without the daily struggle of hunger and exhaustion. The real breakthrough in lasting weight loss isn't about starvation or tracking every calorie. It's about learning how to keep insulin steady. When insulin is stable, your metabolism runs smoothly. Hunger becomes predictable, energy feels steady, and fat burning happens quietly in the background. The secret isn't to eat less, it's to eat in a way that keeps your body calm, not constantly spiking and crashing. This is what I call the Fady One insulin trick, learning how to eat to keep insulin quiet. Most people think fasting alone will fix their insulin issues, but what they eat after fasting matters just as much. The first meal after your fast acts like a hormonal reset button. It tells your body whether to stay in fat burning mode or switch back into fat storing mode. If you break your fast with sugar, bread, or even too much fruit, insulin surges. Your body instantly shuts down fat burning and shifts back to glucose dependency. But when you start with protein and healthy fats, eggs, salmon, grass-fed meat, avocado, olive oil, insulin stays calm. You feel satisfied longer, and your metabolism continues burning fat for hours. Protein is the unsung hero in insulin control. It doesn't spike insulin the way carbs do, but it tells your brain you're full. It stabilizes blood sugar and builds lean muscle, which in turn makes your body more insulin sensitive over time. Think of protein as the anchor that steadies your metabolism through the day. When your first meal is protein, first, your blood sugar stays level, your brain stays sharp, and cravings shrink dramatically. Hidden carbs are another trap. People underestimate how many foods quietly raise insulin. A healthy smoothie with banana and oats, a handful of nuts coated in honey, or a protein bar full of fiber syrup. They all cause tiny insulin spikes that stack up. Over time, those small spikes prevent fat loss even when calories are low. Reading labels becomes crucial. If sugar, starch, or syrup appears anywhere in the ingredients, it's probably keeping your insulin higher than you think. Even low fat or diet foods can be some of the worst offenders because they remove fat but add sugar to make up for taste. When you combine real food nutrition with fasting, that's where the magic happens. Fasting lowers insulin naturally by giving your body a break from constant eating. Then, when you eat real food, especially protein and fat-based meals, insulin stays low instead of bouncing back up. Your body learns to trust the process. It starts drawing energy from your fat stores between meals instead of crying out for snacks. Here's a simple rule to live by: eat to keep insulin quiet, not calories low. When you focus on quieting insulin, you'll naturally eat fewer times a day because you'll feel full longer. Hunger becomes a gentle signal, not an emergency. Your body starts operating like it's supposed to, burning fat between meals, repairing cells, and maintaining steady energy without caffeine or sugar highs. Think of insulin like a dimmer switch, not an on-off button. Every time you eat, you turn that switch up. The goal isn't to keep it off completely, but to keep it low enough that your body can still reach into fat stores. A meal of eggs, avocado, and sauteed spinach barely moves the dimmer. A bowl of cereal and juice sends it blazing to full brightness. Over time, those patterns determine whether your metabolism runs on sugar or fat. It's not about perfection, it's about rhythm and awareness. If you start your day with a protein first meal, limit eating windows, and choose foods that don't cause major spikes, insulin stays in its proper rhythm, small rises, long drops. Those long drops are where fat burning happens. Most people don't realize how much power they have to influence this hormone naturally. No pills, no injections, no extreme diets, just timing, protein, and real food. The right first meal sets your hormonal rhythm for the entire day. It tells your body, we're safe. We're steady. We can burn fat. Once you understand this insulin trick, everything changes. You stop obsessing over portion sizes or calorie charts. You start focusing on how food makes you feel stable, clear, and full of energy. When insulin stays quiet, fat burning becomes effortless. Your body finally flips from survival mode to steady, sustainable energy mode. That's when weight loss stops being a battle and becomes your body's natural state. For decades, people have been told that losing weight comes down to one thing: eat less and move more. They've counted calories, tracked macros, tried every diet app and fitness challenge imaginable. And yet, most of them still end up in the same cycle: lose a little, gain it back, feel frustrated, and start over again. The reason this happens isn't because they lack discipline. It's because they've been fighting the wrong enemy. The real obstacle isn't calories, it's insulin. Calorie cutting focuses on the math, but your body doesn't run on math, it runs on hormones. When insulin is high, fat storage is locked. You can eat less, exercise harder, even fast, and still not lose fat because insulin is standing guard, protecting those fat cells from being opened. That's why so many people hit a plateau, even when they're doing everything right. Their insulin never got the chance to rest. When you finally focus on lowering insulin instead of lowering calories, everything changes. You're no longer trying to force your body to lose weight, you're allowing it to. The equation becomes simple. Lower insulin unlocks stored fat, steady energy and lasting results. Once insulin quiets down, your metabolism begins to flow the way it was designed to. You tap into your own fat stores for fuel. You stop depending on snacks and constant meals to get through the day. Hunger becomes stable, cravings disappear, and your energy stops crashing halfway through the afternoon. The beautiful thing is that you don't need to starve to do it. You just need to eat and live in a way that lets insulin rest. That means fewer meals, longer breaks between eating, and foods that don't spike blood sugar. Real, whole foods like protein, healthy fats, and low-carb vegetables. It also means cutting out the little habits that keep insulin creeping up, grazing, sugary drinks, late night eating, and stress. Each small change gives insulin a little more space to drop, and with every drop, your body burns a little more fat. This isn't a temporary fix or a trendy challenge, it's a complete shift in how you think about energy and health. When insulin stabilizes, you start noticing more than just weight loss. Your sleep improves, your mental clarity sharpens. Inflammation drops, your mood evens out. You stop feeling controlled by food. The same body that used to feel sluggish and stuck suddenly feels efficient again, because it's finally working the way it was always meant to. Let's be honest, calorie restriction is exhausting. It feels like a constant negotiation with hunger, a daily battle between willpower and temptation. That's not sustainable. But when you fix insulin, the fight ends. You're not relying on willpower anymore. You're working with your biology instead of against it. Fat loss becomes predictable, not punishing. You don't have to guess what's wrong or why you're stuck. You can actually see it and measure it. That's the beauty of mastering insulin. It puts you back in control. Once you understand how to keep it stable, you're no longer dieting. You're mastering your metabolism. You know how to eat in a way that supports your body's natural rhythm. You can go hours without hunger, feel strong through your day, and enjoy real food without guilt. This is how you build results that last not for a few weeks, but for life. The best part, you can track your progress without relying on the scale. Instead of obsessing over weight, you can measure what really matters: how your body is handling fuel. When your morning glucose and ketone readings start to shift, that's your proof that insulin is under control. Your numbers confirm what you already feel. Your body has switched from storing to burning. So here's your next step in the next video. I'll show you exactly how to measure your morning glucose and ketones. You'll learn how to read those numbers like a metabolic roadmap, the real indicators of whether your insulin is truly in check. Once you see that data for yourself, you'll never need another diet plan again. You'll know that your metabolism is finally working for you, not against you. And that's the moment when fat loss stops being a struggle and becomes a natural reflection of a healthy, balanced body.